Hey everybody, this is Wake Angel 2001, and no, this is not one of my little photo comics being dubbed. You see, I made this little wake cycle for my little avatar character to ride around on, and just for funsies, after making it, I decided to have a little cameo that had my Sonic Crash and Smash bike driving next to it. And there were a couple of cameos from people who were interested in the little Crash and Smash figure. Okay, so the thing is, I actually have talked about the Crash and Smash bike on my channel before. I did a full review of this toy, mentioning how it's one of the oldest toys of Sonic the Hedgehog that could legitimately be called an action figure, and also how it means, technically speaking, the first action figure license for Sonic the Hedgehog went to Hot Wheels and therefore Mattel. So the people that made Barbie were the first people to make a Sonic action figure. Isn't that kind of amusing? Of course, the people that made Barbie also make the DC superheroes, because the DC superhero action figure line is Mattel based, so there we go. Now, everybody, well, it was 1995, so I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, because, you know, you'd have to be my age, but the Crash and Smash bikes were a short-lived little toy line where they made these little motorcycles that had characters on them, and you would drive them, and there's a button behind the front wheel so that when it hits a wall or something, it triggers an ejector seat that launches the figure off. So, yeah. And the figures did have basic articulation. The arms would move. And some of the bigger ones had waist joints. I also had the Street Shark version. The Street Shark's arms could move independently of each other. They weren't connected like this. And he had a waist joint. I believe specifically the shark was Drax? Driz? I don't remember. I don't remember the individual Street Shark's names. It was a Tiger Shark guy. And there were 6 in the line. I believe 4 of them were licenses. There was Sonic, the Street Sharks, Judge Dredd, and a character from Image Comics, some kind of cyborg dude that had 3 right arms. Like, I'd never heard of it before, but I'm guessing it was cheap to license or something. Cyber Command? Cyber 6? I don't know. It was some cyborg thing from Image Comics. I never heard of it. I'm pretty sure it didn't catch on because, like, a lot of 90s cheese. And then there were 2 characters that I think were original for the toy line because they couldn't license 6 characters but needed at least 6 to make a complete wave. There were Riptile, some kind of 2-headed alligator man, and Skull Basher, Skull Thrasher, some skeleton dude. And I'm guessing that they were original characters created for the line because when I looked at the back of the packaging, they were the only 2 that didn't have the name of a franchise over their heads. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Sonic the Hedgehog and his Hot Wheels license. Okay, I figured that this would probably be the best way to provide context for everything. This is the back of the card where the Crash and Smash bikes would have been sold in. As you can see, up in the upper right corner you have Sonic, and in the lower right corner you have the Street Shark. Those are the best known ones. But if you look in the upper left corner, you can see Judge Dredd, which does make sense because the Judge Dredd movie had just come out at the time. And down there in the lower left corner, you see that guy from Cyberforce. I think his name was Stryker or something. I never heard of Cyberforce before. Apparently it was just an Image comic, like I said, and his notable feature is that he has 3 right arms for some reason. He has only 1 left arm, but he has 3 right arms. And then the 2 in the middle, as you can see, they don't have a franchise name floating next to them. That's Riptile and Skull Rider. And because they don't have any kind of franchise name attached to them, that's what makes me think that the 2 of them are just, you know, made up for this toy series because they couldn't get enough licenses for it. So now you see in the back of the card, you see the whole thing, and I hope you have all the context you need right now. And you know what? I'm not talking about that either, because I'm actually talking about Matchbox. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I just find it amusing that we have Hot Wheels for Sonic, But then, about a decade later, during the height of the Sonic X anime's run, we had Matchbox throw their hand in. And I always find it amusing because Matchbox and Hot Wheels are kind of competitors for the little miniature car kind of thing going on. So yes, way back in the mid-2000s, I bought this 5-pack of Sonic X Matchbox cars from Pathmart. Yes, the small toy section they have in Pathmart, of all places. And I never wanted to open the box because there was no way to open it without tearing it apart, and I didn't want to destroy the packaging. Well, after sitting in a storage drawer for 15 years, the glue that held it closed naturally just became weak and came off. So at long last, I was able to open this package and get access to my Matchbox Sonic the Hedgehog cars. So why don't we take a look at them and see just, and see if this is like a decent little licensed product or if it's just the toy equivalent of shovelware. Okay, so here is Sonic's car, the first one we're going to be talking about. And, well, the bottom of the car conveniently identifies them. So this is a Pontiac Piranha. So even though I don't really know anything about cars, I can still totally, flex like my knowledge of what all the cars are. Of course, there is something I can flex. Check out that copyright date, 2001 Mattel. Now, the Sonic X anime premiered in I was definitely in college by the time the Sonic X anime first premiered, and I went to college in 2003. So that means that this toy mold already existed, and they just slapped on a Sonic the Hedgehog themed paint job. So this is a repaint line. Aha! Yeah, some people who were less knowledgeable would think that Sonic X just came out in 2001, but nope, I know. It is kind of cool, like, they took some stock art image of Sonic, but they reflected it so that he would still be pointing forward on the other side of the car, and the text is still the right way. I know a lesser toy line might have just, like, taken this image and like on the other side of the car he would have been pointing backwards, or they would have reflected it and then Sonic would be spelled backwards. But you know, they took the time. There's also a much smaller tampography here. Come on. Yep. Showing the Sonic X logo. It's barely able to be picked up by the camera, but there we go. So, you know, decent tampography. It looks nice. The car does have a molded interior with a steering wheel. It is a Matchbox car after all. And, yeah, it rolls very nicely. Look at that. Smooth, straight, very beautiful. So, that is Sonic's car. Very nice. Tails' car is pretty obvious, as I'm pretty sure any 5-year-old could identify a Beetle. Although it does still say in the bottom, it is a 1/57 scale Beetle 4x4. So yeah, it's a modified Beetle with gigantic outdoorsy tires. And this is a mold from the year 2000, so it's even older than the Pontiac that Sonic was. And yes, it does roll very beautifully. Might even roll better than Sonic's car, which is really saying something, because Sonic's car rolled very well. And even has like a little light bar on top. I think that this car actually suits Tails' personality pretty well. I mean, it's something that you normally associate with being little and cute, but it's obviously been redesigned and engineered to take on much tougher situations than you would ever think a little car like this would be able to handle. So, doesn't that just kind of fit Tails? I mean, he is the cute furry guy that turns out to become the genius super scientist. And even in the first game he was ever in, he was the pilot of Sonic's spy plane, so I'm pretty sure the mechanical inclination was always meant to be part of his backstory. And yes, if you look really closely, yeah, the Sonic X logo is still visible there. Here it's on the door, so it's actually a little bit easier to see. On Sonic, so it was way back on the fender and it practically went into the light. And yes, they did go through the effort to make sure that it looked good on both sides. So that is Tails' little Beetle, and it's also another very nice little car. And I like how they actually went with a car that suits Tails' personality as well. And then they made a car for Chris Thorndyke, and I think it's hugely appropriate that they gave him his own personal wambulance. Okay, yeah. I couldn't resist it. I just had to take a shot because this looks like an ambulance. If you looked at this from a distance, you'd be like, oh, hey, there's a toy ambulance. It is actually a Nissan Xterra. I've actually heard of that. Okay, so I've heard of that before. But yes, we have a Nissan Xterra, and that is Chris's car. It is a family SUV, I guess. I can see why that would be appropriate. I mean, he's a kid. I mean, you would associate children with big family cars, like an SUV. Okay. And, yes, I get to make the wambulance joke because it looks like an ambulance, and Chris was known for being kind of a whiny little douche. Oh, man! Remember, guys, I kid, but, you know, we all know that Chris wasn't exactly the most well-realized character. But, yep. Same dealing. The tampograph looks good. They did go through the effort to make sure it looked nice, and the vehicle, like, Chris Thorndyke is supposed to be like a billionaire, so maybe they should have gone with a fancier car than like a family SUV. But I get it. They're downplaying the billionaire thing and upplaying the child thing. So, all right, we'll go with it. It still kind of works. And here's Knuckles' car. It's, cool. This is a van. Let's see what it is. Ooh, gold. The underside is gold. It is a 2000 Chevrolet Suburban. Okay, so it's a Chevy, and it's another type of, SUV or van. This one looks a lot more like a van. I really don't know cars, so... But it is, like, the sexiest possible version. I mean, Knuckles is associated with being a treasure hunter, so, I guess the gold rims, the gold undercarriage, the gold grille, everything about this just, like, screams, like, this is something that you would see on Pimp My Ride. Like, I almost expected to be spinning rims on these wheels. So this does look like a Pimp My Ride vehicle. And Pimp My Ride was it a thing in the mid-2000s? Man, I'm really old. I don't even really remember what decade the TV I watched came from. But yeah, this, like, even if the Pimp My Ride TV show wasn't a thing, like, the concept of a Pimp-mobile, it was definitely a thing. So, yeah, Knuckles' car is a total Pimp-mobile. And they picked a pretty good image, if we can get into focus. Thank you. Yep, it's basic. I think that might actually be a reference from the episode where Knuckles was trying to beat Sonic up, and he, like, tore apart half a forest trying. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good punch. That, like I said, that's a really, like, I'm not sure if these are just random stock images, but if they are, it's at least good. Like, they picked artwork that would have a sense of impact on the sides of these cars, and that's pretty cool. So, yeah, Knuckles' pimped out van is just, yeah, I like it. It's a cool little concept. And speaking of vans that speak to a character's personality, oh my god, this is a little bit on the nose that you would give Dr. Eggman a big black van. Like, it may as well say free candy on the side, if you catch my drift. Like, there is absolutely no subtlety in this one. Like, this is a villain car. And, it's it's the vehicle that's most associated with, shady dealings, let's say. Okay, I don't really know how much I can go into details, but, well, what is this? It is a Ford Transit, and this is by far the oldest mold, too. Like, apparently this is a 1995 design. So, yeah. Actually, wait, did I check the year for Knuckles' car? I mean, it was on video, but I don't think I took note of it. Knuckles' car was made in 1999. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, this is definitely the oldest. I mean, like all the others, it rolls very beautifully. It's the largest vehicle, so it's of course the heaviest just because, you know, oh, by the way, all these are die cast, so Matchbox is a line that makes die cast metal cars, so all these toys are die cast, and they are all top quality. So yeah, very, very good quality toy car. I just kind of find it a little bit on the nose that they actually made a Dr. Eggman black van. Wow. And so that is the collection of Sonic X Matchbox cars. I don't know if you'd have any luck finding these because, like I said, I got them of all places in a supermarket. And I got it back in the mid-2000s when this anime was still the hot new thing. I mean, since then, Sonic the Hedgehog has had he's had a couple more notable anniversaries. He's had the cancellation of a comic book series and the beginning of a new one. He's had a new cartoon made. So, you know, like I'm not sure how much Sonic X merchandise still tracks. Although a lot of people who are a little bit younger than me do still fondly remember Sonic X as the Sonic cartoon of their childhood. So, you know, this kind of merchandise might still be nostalgic for some. And, yeah, like, how weird is this, right? Like, when Hot Wheels gets the license, they make a full-on action figure and an entirely unique original toy line just for it. Like, I don't think they ever made a standard Hot Wheels car featuring Sonic in any way. But Matchbox, I mean, you could argue that this was pretty easy for them because they took existing toy car molds and just tampographed Sonic X stock art onto them. But, you know, like, as simple as that may sound on paper, it's at least done well. And they are high-quality toy cars. Like, you can roll these around in your house or on your tracks or whatever, and that they be just fine. So, yep. It took 15 years for them to be freed from their cardboard prison, but here they are. This is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.